Creative Talks, the ideas that inspire 11 institutions sharing a common goal for a fully European university. Creative Talks is the voice of Creative EU. It is about sharing knowledge. It is about creating potential from heritage. An alliance for positive transformation. From your university to the world, every story is inspiring. Welcome to your podcast of the moment.
This is the ninth part of the second episode of Creative Talks, the Science, Heritage and Technology Creative EU podcast. Welcome to a talk about cultural heritage and the perspective of Trnava University in Slovakia. Each of the 11 partners of this new European university has the opportunity to present their projects, sharing experiences. Let's listen to them all.
Hi, I am Lucia Novakova and I am excited to join you today for this conversation about the challenges and visions of living heritage. This conversation is rooted in a recent international conference that created the space for these reflections. The conference was organized by Trnava University in cooperation with the Polytechnic University of Tomar and Breda University of Applied Sciences within the Creative EU Knowledge and Creativity European University Alliance. The conference brought together researchers, practitioners, and cultural institutions from across Europe to reflect on contemporary heritage research and practice. From this shared context, we began our discussion on living heritage. Living heritage is not something frozen in the past. It exists through people, through everyday practices, shared knowledge, and continuous care. We understand it as a dynamic relationship between communities, places, and meanings, where tangible and intangible heritage are deeply interconnected. Our aim was not only to discuss how heritage is preserved, but how it is lived, negotiated, and transformed in contemporary society. This perspective highlights living heritage as a shared responsibility and an ongoing process. So let's listen to what our guests and keynote speakers think about living heritage.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to our interactive roundtable for our conference, and we are very honored to bring together the distinguished experts and the colleagues whose work reflects the interdisciplinary, technological and also community-centered dimensions of living heritage. So allow me just briefly introduce today's panelist, Ricardo Triares. He's professor at the Polytechnic University of Tomar and a leading researcher at Techna and Art Center. His work focuses on creative conservation, restoration strategies, and innovative heritage management with special emphasis on methodological design and sustainable preservation. Ms. Lubica Wolanska, senior researcher at the Slovak Academy of Science and former chair and rapporteur of UNESCO Evaluation Body for 2003 Convention. She is the leading authority on intangible cultural heritage, community participation and secondary practices across Europe, and Professor Marinos Vianides, UNESCO Chair on Digital Cultural Heritage at the Cyprus University of Technology, a global pioneer in digital twins, immersive technologies and AI-supported research, heritage research, and shaping the strategies for digital preservation. And also we have Dimitri Shanitsky, who is the young researcher and promising researcher at Soberton University, whose work explores dissonant heritage, post-Soviet identity formation, and community-based cultural renewal. And his research highlights how the contested memory can be transformed into a living cultural meaning. So, these are our guests. We are very happy. We would like to ask you some questions. These questions could be modified and changed, and you can answer as you wish. So, what does it mean to you that heritage is living? Our conference is about living heritage. So, what it means for you, from your perspective, from your profession, from your experience? Can you tell us if it's mainly about people or places or relationship between them, or is there something particularly important, or it is not important to distinguish it like this? Don't need to, just how you perceive that what makes heritage living?
No, ladies first.
Yes, of course. Okay. Well, I have well, thank you for this question. I was just reading a paper about criticizing the newly emerged, in the last years emerged term that should replace the word combination of intangible cultural heritage, because it's something negative. It's like not being tangible, which is often criticized, and should be replaced by the living heritage, also in the framework of the 2003 convention. So this kind of definition is pretty much clear on behalf of the 2003 convention. And for me, it's something, and I always ask also the traditional leaders or community members, what would you like to give to your children, or what makes you sad when you think about that it would disappear from the culture? And this is something that is connected to the emotions, and I would like to thank Mr. Dita for bringing this emotional parts of narratives, because it's exactly that. Living is something that makes you feel something, that makes you feel some emotions, have some sensual experience, some embodied experience. So that's living heritage that we would really miss if it would disappear.
As I mentioned in my presentation this morning, I'm not a professional coming from your area. I'm not a humanist, and I'm not coming from social science. I'm a computer scientist, and I am a mechanical engineer. Yeah? But since I finished my PhD, I'm working for the humanities. I'm trying to engineer and automate the humanities and social science. So seeing that from my point of view, this is what you asked, I can say that cultural heritage, which is not only this what it is in museums, on sites, on monuments, on galleries, on libraries and so on, but also in our minds, in our thoughts, yeah? In all this what we, with storytelling and so on. So that I would say that this is the biggest knowledge hub existing in the world at all, since the humanity. This is cultural heritage. The greatest challenge, or challenges here now, is how, first of all, to protect it, to preserve it, and how to manage, because this knowledge is very complex, is multimodal, is in so different languages, yeah? If we go down to the intangible and so on, to the oral and so on, it is, and each community is defending that, defending in the way of, and you may know from the history, is a part of this knowledge gap, what if there is a war, the first thing happening is not to kill the people, it's not to kill the soldiers. You know what it is? To destroy cultural heritage. Because this is, and now it's a key word also of this event, of this conference, identity. If you demolish, if you erase the identity, then you are the winner. You take over whatever exists over there. Having that in mind, it's all about, in this knowledge hub, about the knowledge, the memory related to the identity of the human beings existing in that place, on that time, doing this and that. And of course, is now I'm going to the engineering, is the sinus curve in this very big knowledge hub, which is where are the pharaohs? We are going to hear about the pharaohs, yeah? Where are they? They are all of them in the museums. Where are the Greeks or the Phoenicians? Again, they are in the museums. Where are the Romans? They are in the museums, in the libraries, in the preserved, let's say. Where are the whatever other civilizations and so on, colonial time period in all the continents around the world and so on. Where are they? They are all, so as humanists say, well preserved. So now, automation arrived in this area to take over what? The processing, the handling, the whatever, the preserving of this very complex knowledge. And here is where we are in the state of the art. And your creative EU, I would say, or you are the next generation, with all the other young students here, is a must, is one of your greatest challenges to take it over. And living heritage, now to give a direct answer, it is all whatever is related to memory. If we forget our memory, if we erase our memory, then we have medical experts are saying amnesia, isn't it? And this is very bad. Therefore, it is our duty. And it's a pity because we in the European Union, as the continent, the most advanced continent in this area around the world, we don't take care of this, where I'm saying we are overdeveloped. We are overdeveloped in technology, in the story of the past, in the civilizations, in whatever you want. And it's a great challenge. A living heritage has to take care and do that. The living, the living, I mean dynamic living heritage.
Yes, so we have here the family, the memory, the identity that brings us the knowledge that brings us to the people, to the community, and also something else or something.
Yes, thank you for the invitation for this round table. For me, I wrote a sentence like something like connecting. For me, it's something like connecting people with the spaces and the memories, something like that. And for me, like a professor of conservation and restoration, of course, our concern is about to deal with the degradation and to improve something that the students want to know about these places, why we preserve these spaces, what is the importance to preserve these places, and to learn about this history, about this memory, and what the value of these spaces, because it's only understand this value and this significance of these spaces, it's possible to understand our job like people that work in the field of conservation and restoration. And of course, for me, living this heritage, it's work in the heritage. In my case, like a professor, of course, I do. I need to demonstrate to my students. Of course, I do some acts of conservation. I do this interaction, material interaction. But of course, my first intention is to the students understand the object, the work of art, the fragment from something that have in the past some memory, a connection, some memory, some people, some idea, for example, and they have the opportunity to talk with the new generations. And of course, this interaction between our job, like me, a professor, and my students, it's of course a material thing, but of course the concern that the people visit, it's of course material places, but they have a memory that, of course, if we don't do our work, the best work of preservation of the heritage, we change these memories. And it's very important to don't improve these changes, because this idea of, for example, a thing like a catastrophe, for example, or a war, would change this connection between the people and the places. And of course, our idea is to maintain something like authenticity, but of course it's very difficult to understand what is authentic, of course. But my main idea is that it's work in the heritage, and of course work for the people, for the community.
So we see that.
So also not only about the people, but also about the place, or the sense of belonging to some place or to the objects. They are the part of it. They cannot be somehow removed from that. And what, Dimitri, what do you think about it?
Yes, I mean, I want to pick up from where we started today, from the key lecture, from the keynote by the professor, when you said, I want this object to talk. And I feel like it applies not just to objects, but to heritage in general, and to living heritage in general, that I see as a dialogue between the community and heritage, between us and heritage, between the humanity and heritage in general, and between heritage and us as well. So as long as this dialogue keeps going, I see heritage as living. As long as this dialogue sort of stops, heritage becomes silent and thus, to me, not really living. So that's the way I see it. And I realized that our today's presentation in general mostly talk about how to keep heritage alive, but I also think about it from the perspective how heritage keeps us alive. And I also am referring to the beautiful video that we have seen, and that with the memories that were brought in people, how the lady said that I feel like I'm a child again, and to me it's like, about heritage keeping us alive, not just us keeping heritage alive, but also vice versa. So as long as this dialogue happens, I think we remain heritage living. Yes.
Just a short reaction to both of you gentlemen. I think the living heritage goes even beyond the relationship to a place. I mean, when you have communities in displacement, they are forced to leave their homes because of a catastrophe, because of war. It's exactly the living heritage where they go back to find their resilience and to find their roots without being really rooted in a particular country. When you have people from the villages, from the communities coming into town, the same thing happens. So it doesn't need to be definitely connected just to the place. I think it's more beyond that.
You just listened to the first part of the second episode, an expert roundtable exploring the challenges and visions of cultural heritage in the contemporary world.
This was the nice part of the second episode of Creative Talks, the Science, Heritage and Technology Creative EU podcast, a talk with Trnava University in Slovakia about cultural heritage. The following talk will be with Södertörn University in Sweden. Have a nice time, listen to it.
Creative Talks. The ideas that inspire 11 institutions sharing a common goal for a fully European university. Creative Talks is the voice of Creative EU. It is about sharing knowledge. It is about creating potential from heritage. An alliance for positive transformation. From your university to the world, every story is inspiring. Welcome to your podcast of the moment.